Hello, my beautiful human. Welcome back to the She Did It Anyway podcast. I am so excited you're here and even more excited to talk about this topic specifically. It is going to be all about building authentic relationships in business. I did not realize how valuable the relationships that you have are and the network that you build throughout the years are, especially in your professional life, until I became an entrepreneur. Because what I realized was I was so privileged to work for a company that really put you and their employees in positions to just like meet new people and network and learn and just connect with people that you would normally not ever have a relationship with or meet or anything outside of that situation. And so when I went out on my own, I realized how lonely it was not having that curated for me, like being in a position where I had to go out and find people and like network. And as an extrovert introvert, that is actually my biggest nightmare. Having to proactively like set up calls and coffee dates and network and go into these events, like it gives me so much anxiety. And because I've been doing it for now over 3 years, I've definitely got more comfortable with doing it. I don't resist it as much anymore, but don't get it twisted. It is still very unfreaking comfortable. I had to kind of get past that because I realized that I was just driving myself crazy trying to force my family and friends to be this like support system that I needed in a way that like they couldn't support me. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you just need a community of your peers and mentors. And there's an episode that I recorded early on that talks about like the 4 communities that you need, which is your friends and family, your peers, your mentors, and your clients. Like those are the 4 that really pour into you and provide value in a way that you need to flourish personally and professionally. There's no way that your peers can support you in the same way that your friends and family and vice versa. And so realizing that it was just so important to build that community in business and like authentic relationships was a game changer. And I'm like, okay, I need to get the hell out of my own way and put myself in a situation where I can meet people. And so for the episode today, I really just want to talk a little bit more about that and diving into how to build those authentic relationships, especially in business, and how to know if it's authentic and how to make it authentic and all the things. And so the first thing that I really started to dive into was, what is my ideal network? Like, who am I trying to meet? What rooms am I trying to get into and why? The clearer I was on like why I needed to be in a room, the easier it was for me to show up. Like I was way more intentional with, I'm in this room to meet this person. I'm in this room to learn this thing. And so it was just really important for me to understand like that every room was different and understanding like that ideal network and the connection. So once I started doing that, I realized like I needed different rooms. I needed rooms that were teaching me stuff. I needed rooms that I was just like making friends and networking and growing my referral based system, like database. And it wasn't until 2021 that I started actually investing to be in more of these rooms, because again, it was like 2020 was the first year in business. Like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I also didn't know how important it was to be in these rooms because I had taken it for granted for so long at Yahoo because they just put us in the rooms, you know? And so it was just normal. So starting to really understand like, what is the network that I need to be in? What is the room that I need to be in? Where is that? And how the hell do I get into it? Like, do I need to network with someone to get me in? Do I need to pay? Is it like a mastermind? Is it a course? Like, what is that circle? And I actually had my VA, my first VA that I ever had, put together a list of events and like what type of event it was, where it was, who was going to be there, like what's the content. And I needed to dive into that list and figure out like, okay, it makes sense for me in my business in the season of my life right now to be at this event. This event I could probably go next year, and was all business. Like it was like, I am treating this as something as part of my business. And I truly believe you should do the same exact thing. The most important thing also on top of that, of like how to build that authenticity and authentic relationships in business, is to start building like trust and rapport with the people that you're meeting, really building like that trust with, oh, like if you need something, I am there, and vice versa. And there's no ulterior motive in the connection. That, and I was saying this, I had a connection call with like a bunch of girls that were all going to Arizona. They're all like women that I've never, some of them I've met before, but a bunch of girls like in a network for an event that I'm going to. I had said it, like it was so amazing to see that there are so many connections that we're building with no ulterior motive. You will know right away if someone's hitting you up if they have an ulterior motive, like if they're trying to sell you something, if they're trying to just like learn more about your business so they can go do the same thing. Like, no, we don't need that. And the second you feel that, like, please, please, please trust your gut. I have been burnt so many times when I'm like trying to build these relationships in business and then someone just goes and steals my crap. And I'm like, what the actual heck? Like, that's not what that's not what we talked about, you know? And so really building that trust and rapport with people is so unbelievably important. And it's so important for like your personal brand and the growth of your network. Like, you really want to make sure that you're protecting your reputation and like nurturing the relationships that you're building. The other thing that I was thinking a lot about is that because building a business is such a long game, to really build that authentic relationship, you have to remember that this is like a long-term relationship. If at any point you outgrow that relationship, that room, that network, that is okay. That is okay, as long as that like respect aspect is always there. I used to, and I posted this on social, like I used to feel so guilty when I outgrew a room, when I outgrew people, when I outgrew a situation, and I would force myself to stay in that situation until I realized, like, wait a minute, I don't belong here anymore. This room, this network, these people, this situation provided the value at the time that it did. It served its purpose. Now I need to go to the next thing. And like, there's no shame in that. I'm not shaming the people. I'm not shaming the situation, the room, like nothing. It's just like that's the evolution of life. Literally. I doubled down on that and like understanding, okay, this is a long lasting relationship, but it's okay if like we outgrow each other. And so not to put that pressure of like, you know, becoming best friends with everybody, like then that's just not authentic either. For me, also learning to connect with people on social was a game changer, really emphasizing like leveraging my social media and my network to message people and be like, hey, I would love to grab some coffee and lunch. And if you know me, you know that is so outside of my comfort zone. Like, I just don't like it, mainly because I'm just like, oh, like it just feels so weird. And I'm also so happy. I'm such a homebody. Like, I love being home, but I've been doing that so much. In COVID, I did this so much. I was jumping on Zoom calls left and right, just like 20, 30-minute connection calls. And it was the best thing ever. And now that things are opened up, I will DM people and be like, hey, you want to grab some coffee? And it's okay if that person says no. It's okay if they don't respond. Like, maybe they're just busy. They just doesn't work out right now. But I am so intentional with like networking with people. And so I really recommend you do that. Like, reach out to people. It is okay if they're like, you know what, I am slammed right now. Like, I just don't have the space in my life for this right now. Like, it's not personal. And so just remember that and don't let that hold you back from reaching out to more people. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is really making sure that with any relationship, especially business, that you have very clear boundaries and expectations like set in place. That's by no means you need to like vocalize that to every single person. Like, by the way, this is my boundary. You can, but like just knowing like what are your limits? What are the expectations for specific relationships that you have? What are those boundaries that you have? And like, how are you implementing them? Like, making sure that you're implementing them and not just saying like, I have this boundary and like, you know, using it as a buzzword. Make sure you have boundaries. You do not need to have calls at times you don't want to. You don't need to meet people that you don't want to. You don't need to be in rooms. You don't need to invest. You don't need to do any of that stuff. Like, figure out what your boundaries are and your expectations in any situation that you go into, any relationship, like personal or professional, if we're being honest. Just have that before you go into it. And it is a game changer. And I definitely set boundaries all the time. Like, my professional group friends of like, hey, if I say this to you, it's for us. Like, hey, if I say like something, like whatever it is, like if I can't take this on right now, if I can't take this project, if I can't, like, you just have to respect that. And just like teaching people how you want to be treated is really important. I saw a TikTok of a girl being like, you know, I'm too old to teach people how to treat me. But like, if you are meeting someone new, they don't know what you like and what you don't like, what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. And that's where communication plays like huge role in just growing and building relationships, you know? And so those are just a few of like the key points that I started to think about when I have been building these authentic relationships in business, and want to make sure that you're implementing the things that you need to make sure that you're not getting burnt. If you are, it's okay. Shake it off and like keep it moving. But just remember that building your network and building authentic relationships will help you so much in both your personal and professional life. But just like remembering that your network is your net worth. Like, it is so valuable to curate this community of yours that isn't just of your clients or your mentors. It's just like peers and all the things. And so I highly recommend going back to the episode. It's called The 4 Communities That You Need, and listening to that episode, because it is so good, and it dives into the 4 different types, why you need them, what purpose they serve, and all the things. But I hope this is helpful. DM me and let me know if this is something you needed to hear today. today. And I'm so excited to talk to you. I love you. And I'm so grateful that you continue listening to this episode and this podcast and supporting me. We are just going to keep being best friends forever is my hope. All right. Love you. Bye. And don't forget, no matter what, she did it anyway.
You did it, Mom.